served in the 10th Mountain Division, retired as a captain, earned 2 Bronze Stars and a Purple Heart. He has served this country well in the uniform of the United States, and President Trump and I both know that Sean Parnell will serve Pennsylvania 17 even better in the United States Congress. And finally, speaking of all these great friends, allow me to bring greetings from another friend of mine. I told him yesterday in the Oval Office that I was headed to Pennsylvania, ahead of him. And I think he sounded just a little bit jealous. So allow me to bring greetings from a man who loves the state of Pennsylvania, has been fighting every day to keep the promises that he made to our veterans and to all the people of this great state. He'll be here in just a few hours, but I bring greetings already from the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump. You know, it's the greatest honor of my life to serve as Vice President to President Donald Trump. He and I have gotten to know each other real well over the last 4 years. I mean, some people think we're kind of different. But the truth of the matter is, we've become very close. And I'm here to tell you, President Donald Trump is the real deal. What you see is what you get. And I see this president, no matter what the opposition is doing, he gets up every day and fights for you, the people of Pennsylvania and the people of America. It's really inspiring. And you got to compare that to what these Democrats are up to. I mean, man, I'll tell you what, some mornings I get up, I just turn on the television with a stick. I don't even know what's going to be on there. I mean, here's you got a president that's been fighting every day to keep the promises he made to our veterans, getting this economy moving again, rebuilding our military, having America standing tall in the world again, and then you got these do-nothing Democrats. Literally have spent the last 3 years trying to overturn the results of the last election, and you'll see in the headlines today they're back at it again. I mean, it's really amazing. And what's happening in Washington, D.C. today is a disgrace. It's nothing short of a partisan impeachment. But men and women of Pennsylvania, we're still winning. I mean, I really believe this. I think the Democrats are running down this president because they know they can't run against this president in 2020. They can't run against our record. They can't run against the results. And you know, that's especially true when it comes to men and women who've served in the uniform of the United States. I got to tell you, you know, serving as vice president to this president, I couldn't be more proud of the way this president has stood so strongly with the men and women who've served in our armed forces to keep the solemn promises that we've made to each and every one of you when you served in uniform. You know, I truly do believe, and the president does as well, that veterans' benefits are not entitlements. They are the earned compensation that men and women secured when they served this country in uniform. And we fought to keep those promises. I mean, as you just heard the gunny say, this president's actually signed the most sweeping reforms of the VA in more than 50 years. And now Veterans Choice is available for every veteran in America. Real-time health care that you earn in the uniform of the United States. I was there alongside when the president signed the VA Accountability Act to end an era of heartbreaking stories, one after another. We literally had veterans in this country under the last administration who died waiting for treatment in our VA facilities. But those days are over. Now our veterans are receiving the highest quality of care in the history of the VA, and this president has fired 8,600 VA employees that weren't doing their job to give America's best to America's best. I mean, the wait times for patients at VA facilities has dropped by 33%, and the American Medical Association recently said that wait times at the VA are shorter now than they are at private sector healthcare facilities. That's incredible. And also at a time, and it grieves me to say this, but when I was a member of Congress, I attended a funeral of a service member who came home on leave. Went out to a movie with his brothers and then, for some reason, came home and took his life. You all know, the Gunny just talked about it, the inexplicable pattern of suicide of our recently returned combat veterans. I won't even give you the numbers because it grieves the heart of your president and grieves the heart of this nation. But I'm proud to say we've increased funding for mental health by $9 billion, and now we're providing mental health screenings for every patient who walks in the door at the VA. We're going to end this crisis of veteran suicide. We owe them nothing less. So men and women, it's just been incredible. Of course, we've also been working to provide for the practical needs of when our combat veterans and our veterans return from active duty, return to this economy, make sure the American dream is more open to them than ever before. This president actually signed legislation to expand the post 9/11 GI Bill so that veterans can get up to $24,000 to attend the college of their choice. And not long ago, the president directed the Department of Education to eliminate every last penny of student debt owed by permanently disabled combat veterans. It's gone. With a stroke of a pen, President Trump wiped out $750 million in student loans owed by 25,000 heroes. You know, as our veterans, though, understand better than most, we also honor your service by ensuring that the men and women who serve in the armed forces today have the resources and the support they need to accomplish their mission, and President Donald Trump has delivered. I think President Donald Trump is the best friend the armed forces of the United States have ever had. We've rebuilt our military. I mean, after years of budget cutbacks under the last administration, a time when we came into office, it was amazing. It was amazing to think that our Air Force reported that there were a large number of our aircraft that were on the ground because they were being used as spare parts to keep other aircraft in the air. But those days are over. And I'm proud to say that thanks to this Commander-in-Chief's leadership and strong support in the Congress, President Trump has signed the largest increase in our national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan, including the largest pay raise for our armed forces in more than 10 years. Our active duty personnel are without a doubt, the best equipped, best trained, most technologically advanced fighting force in the history of the world. And I'm proud to report to you that today, on the way here, on the bus, I learned that the Congress has finally reached an agreement with this president to continue to increase investment in our military, increase border security, provide another pay raise for our servicemen and women, and the Congress will heed the president's call, and in this Congress we will establish the sixth branch of the Armed Forces of the United States. The United States Space Force is here. It's happening. It really is incredible. So he's been delivering for our veterans and delivering for our active duty personnel. And I got to tell you, we've made the strongest fighting force in the history of the world stronger still. The president just traveled to Afghanistan over Thanksgiving to spend some time with our troops, and my wife Karen and I had the privilege of traveling to Iraq and spend time with our soldiers that are serving there as well. It's such an honor. And I have to tell you, without a doubt, the armed forces of the United States are the greatest force for good in the history of the world. And they've been proving it again and again and again. And think about it. In March of this year, thanks to the decisiveness of our Commander-in-Chief and the courage of our armed forces, our military captured the last inch of territory under the black flag of ISIS. And as the world watched a little more than a month ago, with the extraordinary efforts of U.S. Special Forces and the decisiveness of our Commander-in-Chief, our American forces took out the most dangerous terrorist leader in the world. Al-Baghdadi is gone without one American casualty. And Conan, the hero dog, is just fine. I met him at the White House the other day. He was very friendly. That day. You know, it was amazing. I have to tell you, friends and neighbors here in Pennsylvania, I've had many privileges in the course of my life. But to sit next to this president in the Situation Room, to watch in real time as Special Forces descended on that compound in Syria with such professionalism, such personal courage, was truly inspiring. It made me proud to be an American. It made me proud to serve men and women like all of you. It was an incredible moment. So we've made great progress from that moment that the call came in from CENTCOM with those words, 100% confidence, jackpot, that they got him. But we know the fight against radical Islamic terrorism goes on. And as President Trump made clear, the United States of America will never relent in our commitment to the enduring and total defeat of ISIS or any terrorist organization that threatens our nation or our allies around the world. Count on it. So we've been there for our veterans, just like the gunny was telling you. We've been there for our active duty personnel. But for our troops that are coming home after their season of service, I'm also proud to say they're coming home to a booming American economy. Thanks to this president's leadership. I mean, we saw the results on this last Friday. After we took office, the president cut taxes, rolled back red tape, unleashed American energy here in the Keystone State and around the country, fought for free and fair trade that puts American jobs and American workers first. And now 7 million jobs created by businesses large and small, and unemployment's at a 50-year low. I mean, it really is incredible. And maybe most important to the people in this room, I'm incredibly proud to say, veteran unemployment has hit the lowest level in more than 20 years. Our veterans are coming home, and our veterans are going to work. But that's just what this president calls a good start, right? That's why we've been working so hard. That's why we've been working so hard to build momentum, really over the last 3 years, to reform a trade deal that I think we all know had cost jobs across this country. I mean, NAFTA was signed into law back in 1995, and in the years that would follow, and I can tell you from growing up in the Hoosier State, we saw NAFTA essentially hollow out entire communities. You've seen it here in Pennsylvania as well. That's why President Trump, as a candidate coming through this state, said we could do better. Said we'd renegotiate the NAFTA agreement in a way that put American jobs and American workers first. And President Donald Trump did just that. And it was 1 year ago we renegotiated the North American Free Trade Agreement into the USMCA. It's the largest trade deal in American history. And I'm proud to say that today, thanks to the strong leadership of President Donald Trump and the efforts by our administration over the last year, Speaker Nancy Pelosi has finally agreed to take a vote on the USMCA. only spent a year asking them to do it, but it's going to be a win. It's a win for American manufacturers. It's a win for American farmers. It really is a win for everybody across this country. And it's going to contribute billions to our economy and create hundreds of thousands of jobs. And it's just one more example of how this president has never let up on delivering the promises that he made to the people of Pennsylvania. But now, they said they'd schedule it for a vote. So now, Pennsylvania, get on the phones, tell them to pass the USMCA and put it on President Trump's desk. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing to think about it in just 3 short years, thanks to the confidence the people of Pennsylvania placed in this president in 2016. We've made America great again. But to keep America great, to keep America winning, to keep America growing more secure and stronger and more prosperous, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. We do. I mean, think about it. I mean, 4 more years means more jobs. 4 more years means more judges. 4 more years means more support for our veterans and more support for our troops. And it's going to take at least 4 more years to drain that swamp. Trust me. And I'm really grateful you came out today. I really am. I'm actually very humbled by it. We're going to be traveling across the state today in the big old Trump-Pence bus. And I'm excited to be here. Excited to be joining the president tonight. We got a whole lot of people headed to Hershey. It's going to be a great night. But you know, I got to tell you, I will take my towel. Which is not easy for a Colts fan, but I'm bringing my terrible towel. I'm waving. Look, I'm here to tell you folks, you got a president who loves this country. He stands by our military, stood by our veterans, and he's been out there championing everything that's made this country great in the past and has made America great again. He never backs down. He never stops fighting. Now it's our turn to fight for him. All right? I mean, you see what we're up against. I mean, I got to tell you, I served in the Congress for 12 years. I was governor of the Hoosier State for 4, and then you gave me the great privilege to be your vice president. But I thank you for that. I'm truly grateful. But I will tell you, I think as you look at this coming election, now less than a year away, I think the choice has never been clearer and the stakes have never been higher. I mean, there is a choice between 2 visions for this country. A vision for a stronger, more secure, more prosperous America that stands tall without apology for our highest ideals and for freedom. And then you've got today's Democrat Party that's been taken over by radical leftists who want higher taxes, open borders, late-term abortion. And you got leading candidates in their party that actually advocate an economic system that has impoverished millions of people around the world in the last century and robbed the liberties of generations. That system is socialism. Well, I think the people here in Pennsylvania know it was freedom, not socialism, that created the strongest and most prosperous nation in the history of the world. It was freedom, not socialism, that ended slavery, won 2 world wars, and has made America a beacon of hope for all mankind. I will tell you, the moment that America becomes a socialist country is the moment that America ceases to be America. So Pennsylvania, just like you did in 2016, we all have to speak with one voice in all that remains of the days between now and Election Day 2020. As the President said in his State of the Union address, we've got to tell our neighbors and friends, America will never be a socialist country. I'll make you a promise. You get out and tell that story. Tell the story that you heard me share today, or heard the gunny share with so much more enthusiasm. I mean, man, oh man, I didn't mention the fact that I'm the proud father of a United States Marine. We appreciate the gunny, and I remember when my son went through officer candidate school, I met a few of her ilk. That whipped him, that changed him. All the way, every one of our branches of service, we take the best of us out of this country, and we've created this incredible fighting force through all the generations, and you all have been a part of that. And it's humbling for me to stand before you because, you know, my life didn't take me into the uniform of the United States. But my dad, I'm proud to say, was a combat veteran in the United States Army in the Korean War. Karen's dad was an Air Force captain, and we were proud of his service. And to help round it out, my daughter Charlotte is marrying a Navy commander later this month. So honestly, as I said, it's humbling to speak before you today, but maybe someone like me ought to be the person that stands in front of people like you to say thanks. Because I don't know what it's like to wear that uniform. But I know what it's like to be a family member. And I know what it's like to be an American who has benefited by the choice that you made to consider our lives more important than your own. You know, some people spend their whole lives wondering if they made a difference, and none of you will ever have to wonder that. Because you made a difference in ensuring the ongoing vitality of the greatest nation in the history of the world. You served. And I thank you for your service. But I'm here to tell you, I want to ask for your help one more time. On behalf of this president, on behalf of his number two, on behalf of millions of Americans who see this country standing tall again, see this country strong again, I want to encourage you to let your voice be heard. I mean, the truth of the matter is that I remember that last election. I was standing next to him on election night. You can find the picture on the internet. We were in this big campaign room in New York City. It was this great moment. And the president was standing here. I was standing here. His family was there. My family was there. A whole room full of lots of volunteers. Every time a new state had come in, he'd turn to me and hit me on the shoulder. And he'd say, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah, that's great. Good. But I got to tell you, seriously, he's going, boom, North Carolina. We got North Carolina. Great, good. We got boom. And then, but I'm telling you what, when Pennsylvania came in, he almost knocked me over. I mean, he left a mark. Because the Keystone State made a difference in 2016. You made a difference. You went out and you told a story. You told a story about a candidate who had a vision for what we could do for this country. But now you can go talk about what we've done. You can talk about, as the gunny said, you can talk about what this president's done for our troops, what this president has done for our veterans, what this president's done to grow our economy, what this president's done to strengthen and affirm all the values and ideals that have made this country great. 180 conservative judges to our federal courts at every level. And I want to encourage you to do it. I want to encourage you to let your voice be heard. Because you're all leaders in this community. Every single one of you. I know you don't think about it a lot. Most of you are uncomfortable with the thought. But we think about you differently than the rest of our neighbors. So people that hear from you, someone that's worn the uniform, someone that stepped up and served the country, and then come home to raise a family, to build a business, to serve in a classroom, to serve in public life. All of you are making a difference. So let your voice be heard. Just say, yeah, I was at VFW Post 128 the other day. I ran into Mike. And he spent a half hour just giving me the top lines of everything. All the good that has happened in Pennsylvania and across this country, and how much more we can do with 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. You go tell that story. And lastly, I'd make one more request. If you're inclined to bow the head and bend the knee from time to time, it's a good time to do it. I mean, the truth is, you know, it seems like you turn on the television in the morning, it seems like there's more that divides this country these days than any time in my 60 times around the sun. But I think the truth is different. I'll always believe that there will always be more that unites us in these United States of America than could ever divide us. And chief among those things is faith. It's faith in freedom, in the ideals of our founders, and the ability to put those principles into practice that's made the difference in this nation, the most exceptional nation the world has ever known. It's faith in our fellow Americans, in the capacity of every American of every age, if given the opportunity to live their dreams beyond anything they could ask or imagine. And lastly, it's that last kind of faith, that he who was there when history was made in this great state, with the founding generation that is so well celebrated in Philadelphia and beyond, is still with us today. And that if we'll heed those ancient words, that if his people who are called by his name will humble themselves and pray, he'll do like he's always done, through much more challenging times than we could ever imagine. He'll hear from heaven, and he'll heal this land, this one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So pray for America. Pray for all the American people, because it'll matter. So thank you all for being here today. I'm really looking forward to meeting as many of you as time permits before I got to get back on the bus and head off to Hershey. And y'all are invited, by the way, to Hershey tonight. I know he'd love to see you. I want to thank you all for coming out. I want to give Commander Westhill another round of applause for opening up this fantastic place. Colonel Minnick, Captain Rosen, Gunnery Sergeant Jessie Jane Duff. Give her another round of applause. I just think we got to take her on the road. And I also want to thank Sean Parnell, my great friend, for his service to the country, past, present, and future. And I leave here today with renewed confidence, seeing all of your bright and shining faces on a Tuesday morning. I'm going to call him from the bus and tell him, you wouldn't believe it. There were 300 people out at VFW Post just because they're excited about what you've done for veterans, excited about what you've done for America. I'm going to tell him. And I know he's going to be even more excited to get on that Air Force One and fly off to Hershey tonight. That I leave here tonight with confidence. I leave here tonight with confidence that with your continued support of everything that we've talked about today, with you going out and talking to your neighbors and friends about everything this president's done for veterans and for all of our country to make America strong and prosperous again, that with renewed Republican leadership at every level, across this great state and across this country, with our friend Sean Parnell in the Congress, and with President Donald Trump in the White House for 4 more years. And with God's help, we're going to make Pennsylvania and America stronger than ever before. We're going to make Pennsylvania and America more prosperous than you could possibly imagine. And with all of your continued support, we're going to keep America great. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support.